Hello everybody, and welcome to another video. Today I actually wanted to talk about totems, because recently I've been using quite a few totem perks. My current, I guess, go-to build on the killers I play, which for anybody who doesn't know, I main Pig and Onryo. So the current build I kind of just default to on them is Face the Darkness, Thrill of the Hunt with Ruin, and then throw on something like Brutal Strength, Corrupt, whatever I feel like needs to be put on the build. And in doing so, it sort of resurfaced a thought that I've had for quite a while. Most people have had for quite a while. And that's the fact that totems, like totem perks just as a whole, are in a very precarious state right now. What do I mean by that? Well, it's quite simple. Most of them are ass because it's very scary to buff them, because if they're too good, then they're ungodly amounts of good, right? But they have to be that good to be viable because of how easy they are to get rid of, right? And the same thing is true about boon totems, except the sort of reason as to why they're weakened is a little different. Like, yeah, it's easy to get rid of them, but it's also just on some maps and shit, it's so hard to get rid of them that if they're insanely good, as they probably should be, then you get way too much value from them compared to a lot of other perks, right? So I came up with a pretty simple solution on both sides for both boons and hex perks, and that's for hex perks, give the killer the ability to move them around, right? Just have it so if you go up to one of your hex perks, similar to a boon totem, you can like do the snuff it out animation or whatever, and it'll move to a different spot. Or have it like with the recent blood moon event, however bad it was, have a system like that where you can hit the totem, it like sort of transfers to you, maybe it deactivates during that time, maybe you have it so it stays active, but if you're stunned or something, it will be destroyed, it will deactivate, and then you can move it to another totem spot and keep that alive. Still keeps counterplay to the hex totems. You know, you can obviously break it before the killer does anything, depending on how it works. If you just break every single totem, you know they're running a hex, you just break all the totems you see, then they have nowhere to go. Again, depending on how it pans out, if stunning the killer can destroy the totem like when they have it, then running things like head on and stuff might become like hex counter perks. Gives it a lot more depth, and it allows the perks to actually be like not as good. You see, that, which is the main problem. Hex perks, with how easy they are to get rid of, they have to be ungodly amounts of good to actually be viable. By making it so that it's easier for the killer to keep it up, hex perks are now more viable just by themselves, right? A lot of the more popular hex perks are you have to like combo them together. The sort of classic nowadays being Plaything Pentamental. A very strong combo in solo queue that is only possible as a combo. Like, you're not going to run the third seal with that shit. You're not going to run Redemption. You're not going to run any of that. You're not going to run Blood Favor with that. You're just going to run those two. So I think this change would open up a lot of opportunities for you to just sort of throw on a perk to fit a certain like playstyle or a certain like thing you need. Like if you want anti-loop within a perk slot, you might throw on hex crowd control now. It might not be a useless perk. You might just throw on blood favor. While it is good, a lot of times you still want to run it with other hex perks to increase its survivability. So sort of just do that to sort of balance out the sort of strength of totems. Now, They don't have to be insanely strong, because if you're good with the perk, or if you're good with hexes and managing them as a killer, you can just prevent survivors from getting them or like destroying them so easily, and you can get a lot more value out of it without it sort of being one of the most RNG dictated things in the game. Because this also fixes the problem of you spawn in on Cold Wind and fuck me, the totem spawned in the corn surrounded by nothing. Easiest totem to see, or like you're on pretty much any map and it just spawns like facing the center of the map with nothing around it, not hidden in a little corner, just sitting there against a car as if that's gonna block anything. Right? I think just allowing you to move the totem around fixes a lot of these issues. Although there's also boon totems which have a similar problem of you want them to be strong, but at the same time they can't be strong, except it's for a different reason. You get, considering you can put boons up forever, it becomes such a good like distraction type perk for survivors. I think the biggest example, and what most people will probably think of, is the Ironworks of Misery totem on the second floor, like catwalk. That takes killers like 15 seconds. They have to go out of their way to break that, and then the survivor just goes back up there and sets it again. So another very simple change, two very simple changes to two types of perks that I think fixes them pretty much perfectly. Simply make it so you can only put a boon on a specific totem one time. You go up to that Ironworks totem and you put it down, and then the killer breaks it. You can't place it back there again. It's gone. Right? And then to balance that out a little bit, to add a little bit of macro play to the survivor side, make it so that if you relocate the totem, so if there's one in shack, again on Ironworks, if there's a totem in shack and then there's a totem up on that catwalk, you know the killer's going to try to get the totem on the catwalk, you can run over to shack, place the totem there, so then the killer just wastes their time not kicking it, and then go and put it back. Right? Add some actual macro play to the perks instead of essentially making them put it down or spawn in and just sort of hope it doesn't get destroyed. You know, as a killer you can at least try to defend it, but a lot of the time it feels like you can't, I'm not gonna lie. So very simple changes, but and a very like a pretty short, like concise video, at least for what I make. But I feel like they're just such simple, easy changes you can make to the perks, like the perk systems, that makes them 10 times more viable. It makes it so behavior doesn't have to be scared of buffing these perks or making new versions of these perks. Like we have 5 boon perks. Boons have been in the game for what, like 2-3 years now? We have 5? What? Even hex perks. I mean, like, hex perks have been in the game for so long, and we have, I think, like 13 or something like that. Like, that's not that many compared to the amount of normal perks. And it's because of the fact that I feel like behavior and a lot of people are scared of these perks being added, because they're always either going to be absurdly good and annoying to go against, or insanely weak and just never seen. So these changes should, in theory, balance out that playing field, so you can have just like decent hex perks, decent boon perks, and have it still be worth it to run them without feeling like you're throwing every time you put them on. But that's just my thoughts. As always, I make discussion videos and shit to hear what people have to say. I always read all the comments and everything, so please leave a comment, like, subscribe. You know I always appreciate it. All the videos that are getting all these fucking hundreds of views and shit, I can't thank you guys enough for that. I love each and every one of you for that. And I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.